You're listening to the Productive Therapist Podcast, the world's greatest and most brilliant resource for busy therapists who'd rather be laying on a beach in Hawaii. Every week we share helpful tips on where to put what, how to do this, that, and the other, and the best way to get your ducks in a row. And now here's your host, licensed therapist, head nerd, and productivity Yoda, Uriah Guilford.
Hello and welcome to the Productive Therapist Podcast. Today, I'm super stoked to have Megan Gunnell on the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm legitimately excited. I know like a lot of people say that, but I'm very excited to talk to you. We are just getting to know each other. And as I've learned more about you and been able to interact with you, I'm super impressed with everything that you've done and even more so with just who you are as a person. So I'm stoked to talk to you.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks so much. I feel the same about you.
That's great. I love it. So I don't know, do you like it or not like it when people read all your accomplishments and all the things you're working on?
It's a little weird. Sometimes you just sit there and you're like, wait, what? Who are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Well, you've accomplished a lot. And I know you've been doing this in various stages for at least 24 years and maybe more now, right? You've started 3 successful businesses. You've been a national keynote speaker, sold out 6 retreats to Costa Rica, thriving group practice, massive Facebook group, online courses, membership sites. My question was like, what have you not done? And we decided that you haven't done a podcast yet, right?
I have not done a podcast. So I'm getting very inspired by all these amazing podcasts. I'm always listening to them while I'm doing my laundry and my dishes. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe that's the next step.
It would tie in nicely to some of the things you have going on. So I genuinely want to hear some of your story and how you got to where you are now. But I'm going to put a selfish question in front of that. And that is, can you tell me why my next vacation should be to Costa Rica?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I love hosting retreats there because for me, it's a full sensory mindfulness sort of gratitude experience. I feel very alive and awake there. And I don't know if it's because it's just gorgeous tropical climate. Is it because it's a blue zone? Is it because it's just sunny and warm and I'm from Michigan and I need that? Is it because you wake up to the sound of howler monkeys outside your room? What is it exactly? I'm not sure, but I know that whenever I go there, I feel alive and awake and I leave feeling super inspired and transformed. So yes, I think your next adventure should be Costa Rica for sure. And I wish you could come with us.
Yeah, that sounds so fantastic. Most people don't think about how much the physical space around them, including the lighting and everything that's the plants and everything that's around you, contribute to your well-being and your productivity, but also where you live, where you are on the planet. And so that's very interesting to hear you say that when you go there, you feel alive. And then you brought other therapists there. And I'm assuming that they felt a similar experience. That is so fantastic.
Yes. So the funny part is for years and years, I was hosting wellness retreats there for my clientele, for all my psychotherapy clients and my, people kind of in my circle there. But then this year I decided with the Thriving Therapist community getting kind of big. And also after everything we've gone through as therapists with COVID and all the stress we've experienced personally, I thought, why not, design and kind of build a retreat experience that is really exclusively for therapists, because I think we have a very special set of needs after everything we've been through. And it was very well received. In fact, we sold that out in about a day. So that was very quick. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. And I'll be honest, a little nervous to host this for therapists because I'm usually doing it in a different kind of realm. So this will be a really great learning opportunity for me as well.
That's going to be stellar. I mean, so much of what we do when we travel for work as therapists is usually conferences, CEUs, major brain burnout, inspiring stuff. But it's also it's not relaxing. It's not recharging and getting us back to our client work or whatever else we're doing with recharge batteries. And I know that's part of the Thrive Summit that we'll talk about later, which is giving people good information and education, but also relaxation, right?
Very true.
Fantastic.
I know personally, I don't like the whole like back-to-back conference model. I'm a highly sensitive person and I get a little fried out with that. So
Same.
I thought maybe I need to design something where you don't leave feeling exhausted and you leave feeling like you had part of a retreat, but part of it is that learning opportunity. So I kind of wanted to make that marriage happen. And I'm excited about that offer too.
I'm excited. I want to tell you about something real quick off script. So this is, was it last month? 2 months ago, I went down to Universal City. So it's California, Southern California, and went to the Therapy Reimagined conference, which was mostly virtual, but some folks were on site, mostly speakers, sponsors, and then a couple of other attendees. It was a great conference and got to see some of my longtime friends and then meet some new people there. And one day, several of us kind of cut out early and went across the street to Universal Studios. And we had
I remember seeing the pictures.
Did you see the pictures? Yes. We had like a legitimate adult play date. And we went like, I think most of us were like business owners, consultants,
Yeah.
And so we like went and rode like the Harry Potter ride and Jurassic World. It was such a blast. And I was like, wait a minute, this is my favorite part of this conference. We should do this kind of stuff more often. Yeah.
It's the play, right? It's the fun and the play. It's like, when do we have a chance to do that? So I love that. I remember that picture. Katie Reed put it on her Facebook page, I think, and I was just dying laughing because you guys were all like in line for rides and I'm like, you're getting drinks and it was so fun.
It was great. And none of our kids were there too, which is even better.
Which is sometimes the best way to travel.
Right? I know. So Megan, please tell me and tell the audience a little bit about how you got your start and then how you started Thriving Therapists. Would love to hear about that.
So I was originally a music therapist. So I started out with a bachelor's in music therapy and I worked at hospitals for a long time. And then I got to the point after about 10 years where I thought, maybe it's time to make a change. And I wanted to take my work further. So I ended up getting an MSW and I lived in Europe for a little while and, kind of had a little spin around a little bit of love for travel over there with that. And then, I got this MSW, built a psychotherapy practice pretty much fresh out of grad school and did it in a very clumsy, kind of building the plane, flying it while I'm building it kind of experience of just like, I don't know what I was doing at all, but and there were no coaches at the time. This was back, early 2000s. And
I remember.
I was like kind of scared and overwhelmed, but I thought I really want to do this. I had this vision that I would make this private practice happen. And I really worked hard to build a very successful, thriving practice on my own. It didn't take me too long to do it because I was really super eager to make it happen. And then from there, I just kept thinking, what is next? I filled all these slots every week with my clients, but what else can I do? And I kept thinking, I really miss my creative music therapy world. And I thought maybe I need to do like a 1-day retreat. And maybe I need to do a workshop, or maybe I need to do something with like mindfulness and harp music and meditation, or maybe I should offer a drum circle or, so I kind of kept folding in.
Bring back the creativity.
All the creativity, all the music, all the fun. And I loved it. And so did the people that I was working with, because it was a great blend of sort of, therapy, but also talk therapy, but also sort of this creative and artistic element too. And then as I moved along, I just kept doing that and they got bigger and bigger offerings. So it was kind of like a 1-day retreat would lead to a weekend retreat. And then that was like enough courage for me to say, maybe I could do a week-long thing, maybe I should do this Costa Rica thing. So that kind of just grew and grew and grew. And then I was getting more, engaged on some of these therapist Facebook groups in 2019, I would say, is when I kind of started to just like chat in those a little bit more. And I remember distinctly, it was December 2019, when someone in one of the other therapy groups was like, I've been watching what you're commenting on, and I'm noticing that you're always sharing some really good, ideas and information. You should start a Facebook group. And I was like, what? Who? What? Why would I do that? And then I thought, maybe I should. And just one day I decided to do it. And I built Thriving Therapist. And in 2 years' time, we have 12,500 members.
That's amazing.
So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
I thought for sure that group had been around longer than that. That's astounding.
Funny. Yeah. And I love it. And I thought it was originally just going to be this little tiny community. And I loved it when it was a tiny community because I really got to know some of the early adopter members that we had, some of the founding members, and I still, reach out to them today. And some of them actually are moderators for our group now. But it's been really fun to like kind of see that grow. And I've learned a lot, to be honest, about listening to your audience and growing an audience and understanding what that audience really wants from me, and what to build for them and how to serve them. And they've kind of invited me to show up in a different way as a coach and a consultant. And I'm loving that role as much as I love being a therapist.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I love it when the things that you create and the things that you build are more spontaneous and in response to a need that you see, or even better, when somebody taps you on the shoulder or a whole group of people tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you're the person that should do this.
Right.
And we need you to show up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. Like, I think when I talk about it with some of my clients that are therapists, I always say, like, listen to those nudges, like, listen to those opportunities and listen for those whispers, because those are so important and they lead us into, sort of the next right step. And sometimes I have to be honest, I'm doing things a lot of times before I feel really ready for them and before I know all the answers, but I have learned how to have enough courage, I guess, to just say, I'm ready to just step in because this feels like the next yes that I should lean into.
That's so cool. I know a lot of therapists in my community and my audience are very smart, ambitious, driven people who are trying to figure out what else they can do. Kind of like you said with your journey of like, okay, well, what's next? So I have this great solo practice or a great group practice, but they feel like they've got more to give and they're not sure where to go. So hopefully them listening to this will inspire them to I think you're kind of saying follow your intuition and pay attention to what the needs are out there, right? That's part of it.
For sure. Always listen for the opportunity. So I'll tell you, like, when I started doing something beyond the one-on-one model of care, I was hearing the echo in my own audience of clients. I had a lot of busy working moms that were dealing with anxiety. They were high functioning, little situational depression, sometimes life transition stuff. And they were saying to me over and over again, when is it my turn? When is it my turn? When is it my opportunity to like do something for me? And so self-care for them fell at the bottom of the list. And as I was listening to this being echoed like session after session, I was like, I hear you, and I'm going to build this. And that's when that kind of organic process of creating something more, for my clients really started. And for me, it's also leaning into the joy of that. Like, if you're not, as a therapist, feeling really excited about your work and what you're offering, then I don't know if it's going to be successful for you. Right. I think you have to follow that, right?
Somewhere you've taken not a wrong turn, but maybe not the best turn. I remember seeing this diagram, and I can't remember where it came from, but it was along the lines of, how do you figure out career path or what you should do. And it was like a Venn diagram with 3 circles. And on the one circle was like, okay, put all the things that you're actually good at, and then in the other circle, put the things that you actually enjoy. Because some things that I'm good at, I don't actually love doing. Right. What's an example of that? I don't know, lots of things. But and then in the third circle, you put, what things will people actually pay you for? And then if you find what's in the middle of those 3 circles, you find things you love doing, you're actually good at them, and then people will value it enough to pay you. I was like, oh, that's great right there.
That's
right?
where we should invest our time and energy.
That's where you should live. Zone of genius, whatever you want to call that. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So hearing your story, I can see how things kind of developed, and it makes sense. And you responded to the call, so to speak. But you seem to really have a consistent passion to help therapists thrive. Like, where does that come from? Because that's some other deep down thing for you. Where does that come from?
Well, I think my initial desire in building the Thriving Therapist community was not only to help therapists, but I have a real passion for, supporting people with mental health issues. And so I felt like if I could create a community where I could give a little bit of knowledge and wisdom, if I was just one step ahead of some of these people, and I might be able to say, hey, here's what I did. I'll save you some time. I'll save you some energy. Try and do it this way. This might be a faster, easier approach for you in either building a thriving practice or learning how to scale. And if I were able to do that, my initial desire was, wouldn't it be amazing if we created this ripple effect where if more and more therapists were able to create successful, thriving practices, then more clients in those communities would also be served. And so that kind of almost makes me tear up a little bit because I feel really moved by the idea that like, if I'm able to like inspire someone else out there to do this and to like take the leap and to get a little more information or have a little more of a map, a roadmap to build this correctly or easily, then they're going to be able to serve their audience and their clients and their customers and, and their, patients out there too. So that's so important to me. And I feel like that I have to remember the why sometimes because Thriving Therapists grew so quickly that I was like, whoa, what happened? And where are we now? And what are we really doing? But every once in a while, there'll be a comment or a post on there that will bring me back to that. And it is really a humbling experience for me. And I feel super grateful that I can host this community with tons of support of our moderator, team and our admins and stuff. But it's been really a learning opportunity for me. And I do have a ton of passion for helping therapists. And I try to give away as much information as I can, because if they can serve their clients in an easier way, then all of us benefit.
I love that so much. And I feel very aligned with that too, with productive therapists. Like if I can provide an amazing world-class virtual assistant to a therapist that helps them get more done so they can have more fun and serve their clients better, like that's just a win for the mental health community, the global community at large, right?
For sure.
And that's, I mean, that's enough to get, you and I out of bed every morning, right?
Right.
Let's
and
do
it
this.
Does. I feel that way very much so. I get excited in the morning. I'm usually up with my coffee before 6, like getting right in, looking at, whether it's emails or consultation stuff or notes. And it's really exciting. And I'm feeling very grateful that I get to do this work. I serve my own client population in my solo and group practice, but I also have this great opportunity to also kind of try to inspire therapists to, do the same or scale beyond that. And I'm learning along with this community. They're always bringing things to my attention that I'm wondering more about too. So it's also stimulating to have like a larger community of peers that you can, lean into when you need more intellectual kind of stimulation and you want to stretch your own reach, beyond maybe what you're doing too. So I do appreciate that.
I would love to hear your 5 tips to thrive for therapists, because I know a lot of us through the last almost 2 years are struggling with taking care of all the people in our lives, including our clients, significant burnout, all kinds of other struggle and stress. But it doesn't have to be as hard as it is for some of us. So I would love to hear some of your tips, as many as you want to share, about what it takes for us to really like survive, do more than survive, and actually thrive.
Yes. Oh, that's my tagline. You got it. I love that. So I would say if I'm going to go through quick kind of 5 tips to thrive as a therapist, number 1 is you really want to have the right mindset and vision, because if you don't understand the why of what you're creating or who you are and what you're offering and who you serve and why you're making what you're making happen, then it's going to be very hard for you to communicate that with the people who want to help you fill your caseload. So what I always try to do is, and this kind of folds into, the second point on my list here, but I always try to help the clients that are therapists that I'm working with understand that first, because if you don't have clear vision, then it's going to be very hard for you to execute something spectacular or successful.
Right. Let me take just a quick pause and tell you a bit about our sponsor. This episode has been sponsored by Simple Practice, the leading practice management platform for private practitioners everywhere. More than 75,000 professionals use Simple Practice to power telehealth sessions, schedule appointments, file insurance claims, communicate with clients, and so much more. It truly is an all-in-one HIPAA-compliant platform. Get your first 2 months of Simple Practice for the price of one when you sign up for an account today. This exclusive offer is valid for new customers only, and you can go to simplepractice.com/productive therapist to learn more.
The second point that I always try to make very clear is you should really understand who your ideal client is and use their language as much as possible when you are in online real estate spaces. So if that's, a directory, or if it is your website personally, or your business social media pages, or your LinkedIn account, for example, people need to understand instantly what you do and who you serve. And if you're using language that resonates with your ideal client and you really understand your audience and what they want from you, you'll always be full. You'll always have, plenty of work because people will get that message right away. The third thing I think we can do to thrive as therapists is to really understand that we can move beyond the one-on-one model of care. I try to emphasize this as much as possible, especially to therapists that are new to the field, because they're thinking like, okay, I just want to think about filling my caseload. I got to fill my caseload. I have all these slots and I want them all filled, but that will happen. And it will happen faster than you think if you follow sort of a certain plan for that. There is kind of a way to successfully make that happen. But then what is my question? So once you fill every slot every week, and you will get there and you'll do that, then what do you do beyond that? Because nobody asked me that question when I was a new therapist.
Never.
And right? I mean, your goal was just to have a full caseload, right? And then beyond that, it's like, what do you do? But there are lots of ways that you can maximize your education, skill set, and training and monetize opportunities for yourself so you can scale that business. And eventually, maybe you scale it to a very large, point and you have a sellable asset. So, there could be something that you're doing as a passive source of income that you put a lot of time and energy into once, for example, like creating an online course, or making a group therapy group, or designing some type of training or webinar. And you do that one time and you put the energy into designing that and creating it. And then that passive income can generate another income stream for you. As a therapist, there are just tons and tons of ways that we can utilize all of our education and training. And many times we're not doing that, not very effectively.
So good.
The fourth thing is treat your business like a business. So I wish somebody would have really schooled me in this when I was just starting out as a business owner. And I want to remind therapists, when you're going into solo private practice, you are an entrepreneur and you are your own business CEO, right? You're designing your own company, which means you have to really think carefully about business decisions. And you should think, and this ties right into your offerings, around think carefully about who you hire to support you. Because if you don't have an accountant or legal support or a bookkeeper, or you don't have an admin or a VA to support you as you scale, it's going to become very difficult to really achieve the level of success that you're hoping to achieve without doing those pieces correctly. So I think too many times therapists are like kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, and we need a better approach because, I don't think an attorney would ever kind of just be like, well, I hope this works. I mean, I think most therapists kind of are like, I don't know, we have a lot of faith. We've got a lot of like brave acts of courage here inside of ourselves. And we definitely have passion and desire about what we want to do to make change. But I really, really love it when I get a therapist in front of me for coaching or consulting or in a course that I'm teaching, and I'm able to inspire them to really change their thinking just a little bit about how to be more of a savvy business owner and entrepreneur as you run your business. And then the fifth thing is my favorite, and that is start before you're ready. So you definitely want to make sure that as you're building things, not to wait until something is perfect, because perfect will never come. And so if you feel like you have some great idea, I can give you an example of this. I was working with a wonderful therapist doing some coaching around scaling her business. So she already had a successful practice, but she wanted to do something more. And she has this wonderful 12-week program all mapped out for a small group that she wanted to offer to a small, population inside of her caseload, some of her clients. And she built this amazing, amazing design. And we went through and like roughed out each week, and we were building the landing page together and talking about the pricing and, discussing what the results were of the people who were going to be in this. And we talked about the ideal client and who would it be for. And like all of this was ready to go. And right before she was going to launch it, she started to have one of those moments that we all have around, oh my gosh, I don't feel ready. Like this isn't quite perfect yet. Maybe I should wait.
This one. Yeah.
Right. You can just feel it coming.
But what if? Yeah.
So here's me, Megan Gunnell, Thriving Well Institute coach. Like, I will push you off the deep end. And I'm not afraid to do that. I think I even did that as a kid. So I will push you into the deep end of the pool. And I love being able to do that because I'm also there. I'll swim with you. I've got the life vest. Like, we can do this together. But I always try to encourage people, listen, you can do it even before you feel perfect and totally ready. And so I encouraged her to try it, and she did, and she's going to launch it. And I'm so excited for her because it's going to be very successful, and we will never really know until we try, right? So it's like, even when we launch things and they don't go as planned, we're still learning. So it's like brave, not perfect is the philosophy here.
Oh, brave, not perfect. That's a good one. And it's so true, because if you feel like the thing that you're putting out into the world is perfect and it's like absolutely everything you wanted it to be, you waited too long.
That's so true.
And you deprive people of taking advantage of the thing that you wanted to put out there. And that's,
exactly.
Done is better than perfect, for sure.
Exactly. And I think showing up to serve an audience, even if it's small at first, is, a good learning opportunity for yourself. So even when I started with Thriving Therapists, I thought, I don't really know exactly how I'm going to do coaching with this community, but I'm just going to start by doing like something very small in the beginning. And it was a good learning opportunity for me to understand exactly how I could serve my audience. So don't wait until you feel like it's perfect. I just want to encourage people to start before you're ready.
That's great. And I'm guessing you build on these things in your Building a Thriving Practice course. Is that sort of integrated into that course?
Yes. So in the online course, we really focus on how to build a thriving practice. And part of it is the mindset work, and part of it is the vision that we talked about. But part of it is really the nuts and bolts of marketing and building your referral network. But it's also, it has a lot to do with that piece of getting the courage and the excitement and the enthusiasm to just continue the momentum so that you can really get something off the ground. So the 5-week course is a self-guided opportunity that people can kind of move along at their own pace. So that's nice, because some people don't want live coaching. They want to work, from a recording of a course that they can take at their own pace and do it on their own time. A lot of people want to work super independently that way. So that's a great option for a lot of people. And I've had a lot of success with that course. I had one student who took the course and said she went from $4,000 months to $20,000 months after she took the course. So she got her money back on that investment for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah. And then you also have the Elevate membership to support therapists along this journey as well, right? Can you tell us about that?
Right. So the Elevate membership is kind of my little secret favorite place to hang out. It's a very small group of therapists, and it's a wonderful community. They are so supportive of one another. And each month we pick one theme and we take a deep dive on that theme. And there are weekly deliverables. So for example, one month we looked at how to build an online course. And in that month, you got a 20-page PDF handout from me on how to build a course, like from 0 to 100. How do you start this process and do it? And then I also have guest expert interviews and hot seat interviews with members and co-working spaces and office hours available. And I really enjoy this community because they support each other in a really beautiful way. And I'm there to say, let's take our, focus from 1,000 different ideas and bring it into just one idea this month only. And so we just take one theme a month, and it's mostly around scaling your practice and business. So it's really designed for therapists who maybe already have a private practice at a point where they're happy with that, but they'd like to do something more. And I really enjoy that. So if anybody wants to check that out, they're welcome to join us. We still have the founding member price open for the remainder of 2021.
Good. Yeah. We'll put the link in the show notes. Megan, I often feel so envious of therapists that are coming up now into private practice, because I started my practice in 2008, and similar to when you started, maybe not the same year, but similar to when you started, there weren't resources, there weren't coaches, there weren't all these amazing memberships and online courses. Like, if I would have been able to take your course and been a part of your membership, I would have like skyrocketed even faster than I did.
I'm telling you, I didn't know any of this stuff, you know. I remember asking a older therapist that I worked with in my group practice when I first started out. I was asking her kind of like, could you just do like a lunch and learn with me and maybe a couple other of the newbies here? Yeah. And she was like in her 70s. But I was like, I don't even know anything about business bank accounts. I mean, I was so cold and green. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. So she was like, sure, honey, you know, like bring your lunch and we'll just do like a little chat. So, you know, I remember her distinctly like sitting us down and, you know, helping us just understand kind of the business of doing business. And that was very helpful. But you're right. There was nothing. I mean, I was just like, you know, shooting in the dark. I had no idea what I was doing back then.
So true. The first book that I bought was Becoming a Wealthy Therapist by Casey Truffaut.
Oh,
I'm guessing you remember her, maybe not.
I don't know if I've read that.
Yeah, she was one of the first sort of business coaches for therapists. I think Lynn, I don't know her personally, but Lynn Grodsky was one of them, right?
Okay.
Some of these old school, not old school. I don't mean that in the negative way, but they've been around and they were sort of pioneers. There you go. That's a better word.
Sure.
And her book is revolutionary because it talked about how not only can you can be a wealthy therapist, not just in money, but in all kinds of ways. And she taught people how to market as a therapist. And even if you're an introvert, so she had like these different ways that you could market. One of them was, of course, digital marketing. And I grabbed onto that and I was like, okay, I can do this as an introverted therapist with tech skills. Anyway, huge thanks to Casey Truffaut. And I'm still connected with her now, but she's amazing.
So great.
So I have to ask you this, as we wrap up, I'm curious, with all the things that you have accomplished, all the things you're currently working on, like, what helps you stay productive and focused on a consistent basis, besides coffee? How do you do it?
I love this question. Okay, yeah, you know I'm a coffee lover. But I am all about mindfulness and practicing like staying present. And I do it all day long. And I'm starting to think about documenting this a little more carefully for my audience, because I just feel like it would be maybe helpful to kind of see what that looks like in real time. But it's truly like opening the back door to let the dog out in the early morning hours and looking for stars and like taking a deep breath of cold air and like, you know, being in the moment of be here now kind of is my practice. And I can easily drift because I have too many kind of plates spinning at all times. So I can easily feel a little bit overwhelmed. But when I come back to either movement, slow cooking, you know, yoga, meditation, mindfulness practices, walking in my community, touch point with nature, you know, using sort of the whole sensory experience, much like what I teach when I take people to Costa Rica to kind of like be here now. I'm doing it in my own little neck of the woods, just outside Detroit, Michigan. It's not as beautiful as Costa Rica, of course, at times, but there's beauty everywhere. So I'm looking for light. I'm looking for, you know, nature. I'm looking for food and experiences with, you know, I'm married to a chef. So I'm always thinking about like great culinary experiences.
You are? Oh my goodness.
Yes. Does that change things a little bit?
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's great. I love it. But yeah, so even today, like we both had an opportunity to have lunch together, and we had a nice little potato leek soup that we made, and a little avocado toast. And like, we were just both kind of admiring how beautiful this little plant-based lunch was. And, you know, so it's beauty, it's mindfulness, it's staying present and grateful. That helps me tremendously. And then I have, of course, my own little like business systems for staying organized. But yeah, I think if I don't have that in my own life, I feel a little bit like the well gets kind of dry. And I always want to be sure that I have a full cup to give from. And if I don't balance like my offerings with a chance to replenish, then I can get in trouble quickly with that.
I love that answer so much. And I think the one that I need to focus on more, that I love, but it's not like as easily accessible, is nature. I remember back in 2019, I made a goal of visiting every single regional park in my area. And there was 56. So it was yeah. So that combined like experiencing nature with a massive checklist, which is good for me. Right. But it was so great because I got a lot of miles in, got to see new places, and I thrive there too. So I need to get back out there and away from my computer.
That's a really cool idea. Yes. Right. And that can happen, especially after what we've all been through and with a lot of Zoom,
for sure,
you know, meetings and stuff. It's just important, I think, that we get off of a screen and back to the sky and like like we just have to kind of look, to
Daily
nature
reset.
for that inspiration. Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm going to put all the links to all the things that you have, if I can fit them in the show notes. Just kidding. And including the Thrive Summit, which I'm excited to be a sponsor for next year.
Yes.
And it kind of was really close to another conference that I'm going to in Nashville. But I love Utah so much. And now that I feel connected with you, I'm like, got to make it happen. So
yay!
Looking forward to that one.
See you there.
Yeah. And if you're a therapist listening to this and you want to have a fantastic experience of learning, but also slowing down and experiencing some relaxation and rejuvenation, that's the place, right?
For sure. I designed this to be kind of part retreat and part inspirational learning summit because I want people to get a lot of great information and leave with a plan of how they can scale their business and be even more successful in increasing their impact and income. But I also really, really am committed to the idea that therapists need to know how to replenish and recharge. And it doesn't have to be boring. It's not about like being in like quiet meditation. I mean, we can dance. We have a lot of fun. We, have a kind of a party atmosphere, and there's a lot of joking around and laughter too. But it's a really fun balance there because you've got you're surrounded by just amazing red rocks to go hiking in. And, the resort has these beautiful amenities. They have a full spa on campus, and fitness classes and sound bath classes and drum circles, and really cool. They have an outdoor labyrinth that I love hiking on right in the Red Rocks. And it's just really an inspirational place. And my feeling was after Costa Rica sold out so fast, I had a lot of people messaging me saying how disappointed they were that they didn't have a chance to enroll in that, and or that it was too expensive or too long to go to the Costa Rica offering. So then I thought, okay, I need to make something else that's a little bit less expensive and a little bit shorter. And again, listening to my audience for an opportunity to create something else. And I designed that because I love Red Mountain Resort, and I'm excited to be back there hosting another program. And this time I'm going to be joined by a lot of great inspirational speakers who have successfully scaled beyond the one-on-one model of care, and they're going to share their stories on how they did it too. So I cannot wait, and I would love to see you there.
That's amazing. My family and I took a road trip. I guess this was 2019. 2020? I think it was 2020 through Utah. And we visited all 5 national parks.
Gosh,
so we kind of did the long route through Moab, and we got to
Zion.
see Canyonlands, and Zion is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Bucket list. If you don't know, go to Utah. I didn't think much of Utah, honestly. I didn't know how astounding it was. And talk about a spiritual experience in nature.
Truly.
You can find that all throughout Utah. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I have employees in Utah too, so I have reasons to visit there.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, for sure. Then you've got to come.
For sure. Great. Well, thanks so much for talking today, Megan. I appreciate having you on the podcast. And I just think everybody needs to know about you and all your resources. So we'll spread the word more.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Uriah. It's been my pleasure.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too.